welcome to the Queen Amani Show, all the way from the Queen City. Here she is, Queen Amani.
Hello and welcome to the Queen Amani TV show. We're here in the beautiful castle in the fabulous Queen City. You know, don't you just love our city? You know, I do. I absolutely love Charlotte, North Carolina. You know, I tell all of my friends, and I have friends all around the world, that Charlotte is the best city in the entire United States. And I wholeheartedly feel that way. I feel like I am so blessed to call Charlotte my home, and I am so blessed and grateful that I was actually born here in the Queen City. You know, I've traveled just a bit over the course of, you know, my wonderful life, and out of all the places I've been blessed to visit, Charlotte by far is still the best city. I love it here. So, you know, I'm excited to be here, coming from me to you here in the castle. And let's just say I'm going to just dive right into it. I have a lot to talk about today. Yes, this show is going to be, let's just say, juicy, okay? Let's just say juicy. I think that's a good word for it. And do you like my glass? I think it's really cute. Someone made it for me. I really like it. You know, I love unique things, custom things, antique things, just different things. That's just me. I love really unique type of things. So anyhow, so I love my glass. So today I have a lot to just really share with you all here. And you know, here in the castle with my friends is a place that I like to share what's on my heart. Anytime, you know, my family is celebrating something, or anytime something is just heavy on my heart, or anytime I'm challenged with something, or I'm just going through something, I share it here. And that's what I love the most about the Queen TV show. You know, that I can come and share what I love, or what I'm going through, or what's heavy on my heart here with my friends. So today I want to just open up just with some things that I have, like I said, have been going through. And if you have been tuning in to the Queen TV show, which I hope you have, you've noticed that I share a lot of personal things here. And you all know here at my friends that one of the most challenging things for me to talk about at times, but something that I found the strength through Jesus Christ to be able to talk about more, is the loss of my girlfriend. And of course, her life was taken through domestic violence. But I want to share with you what I experienced after I lost my girlfriend. During the time that I was going through healing from it, and just some of the things that I began to really go through. So before I begin, I want to say that because I went through this experience and it was very traumatic for me, I have a tendency to not really recall dates and time of different things. I just kind of have a roundabout of when it happened, and I really believe, because the experience of losing my girlfriend was so traumatic, because she was just not my girlfriend. She was, of course you all know, she was like my sister. We were very close. We met in real estate school when we both wanted to be realtors. And we had dreams of having investment properties all around the world together. My girlfriend was an engineer, one of the smartest people I have ever known in my life, and so smart that her job would send her over to Japan and Tokyo to do engineering there. And she would come back and she worked for a great company, and just a really smart woman. But not only smart, she had a heart of gold. The sweetest person I have ever met in my life. I mean, would take her shirt off for a stranger, if they needed one, shoes off for a person. I mean, just anything she could do to help someone, she was that person. So you all know that I've shared a lot about losing her, and but again, I wanted to share some of the things that happened to me when I began to heal. So, or going through the healing process. So you all know that I went to therapy. No shame in that game. I'm actually happy to talk about the fact that I went there because, I had a misconception of what I thought therapy was even before I went. I thought it was for crazy people, and I've said that before, and I was wrong. I learned that it's not, because I'm not crazy. And I realized that there are all kinds of therapy for all kinds of things. And sometimes you go through things in life and you need to go to therapy and it helps you. And for me, going to therapy to cope with the loss of my girlfriend, it was one of the best decisions I've made for myself. To this day, I barely drink alcohol. I don't have alcohol in my house. Matter of fact, in my new home, I've never purchased it. I don't take prescription drugs anymore, which I thank God for that, because when I lost my girlfriend at one time, I did take them, and I didn't like them. I did not like the way that they made me feel. So going through healing, there was a time where I decided to just cold turkey, not take anything to help me heal. And when I say anything, I mean no alcohol. I got to a point, now this took time, but no alcohol, no prescription drugs, and of course I didn't do any other drugs. So it was, I just gave up the alcohol and the prescription drugs because I wanted to heal and I wanted to be sober during my healing. I didn't want any type of medication that I needed to rely on to be healed from the hurt and the trauma and whatever you want to call it that I felt after losing my girlfriend. So I thank God I can sit here now and tell you I don't have to drink to deal with how I feel about losing my girlfriend now. I don't take prescription drugs to deal with it, and I'm thankful for that. And I'm sober. And I thank God for that, because there was a time where when I first lost my girlfriend, I drank a lot just to mask the hurt, the pain, the trauma, the unanswered questions that I had, plaguing my mind as to why her husband felt so bad that he had to take her life. So with that, I went to therapy, of course, okay? And during that time, there was a time where I had to request my medical records from the place that I went to get treatment here in Charlotte. And I want to tell you that, I did a show just recently, actually the TV show, the Queen TV show right before this show, where I began to share this, and I began to share that, the new year is coming up and there are some things that I just really want to let go. And this is one of them. This is one of those things that I'm really just putting this out there because I don't want to take this into the new year. I'm ready to just put it out there, tell my story, share my truth, and wash my hands of it, because a new year is coming up and I'm not carrying this baggage into my new year. So, I requested my medical records from, and let me say, in the last Queen TV show, I think I brought this up and I said at one time that I did not want to name the place that this happened. And the reason being is because, I have a heart to protect. I've always been that way. Even when people do things to me or wrong things, I'm not the kind of person, I'm not okay with just, you know, just having a big mouth, trying to just put them out there like that. You know, that's just not my character. So I try to think before I, bring attention to an organization or a person, even when they've done wrong. So in the last show, I said I was not going to name the place. However, since then, I went to the hospital because I had a cousin of mine who had just had a baby, and they delivered the baby early. And the baby was premature. By the way, that's the first time I ever seen premature babies in a hospital before. And must I tell you, it was a moving experience, okay? It was just a very unbelievably wonderful, I would say, moving experience, although I was quite emotional. It's something to see those beautiful little angels, you know, so tiny. It's amazing. So I went to see my cousin, and when I was there, I noticed how the nurses were providing such good care for the babies. And I remember leaving out, and there were two nurses talking, and I felt the Holy Spirit tell me to, you know, share with them that I thought they were doing such a great job taking care of those babies, and I thanked them for the great job that they were doing. You know, and so then when I left the hospital and I got in my car, you know, on the way back home, my family and I began to think that I had just taped a TV show, and I said I did not want to name the hospital in which I had a issue with, and I felt that there was severe wrongdoing on their behalf. So as I began to really think deeper into that, I thought that, you know, I don't want people to think that I don't want them to guess about, okay, what hospital is she talking about? Because when I left Novant Presbyterian Hospital, after going to see my cousin and visiting with the new baby in my family, which I'm so excited about, I just didn't want people to think it was that hospital, because my experience there, I seen outstanding nurses providing such great care, and I felt like I needed to make sure you all knew here that it was not Presbyterian Novant Hospital, okay? And since then, I decided, since I'm going to go ahead and let you all know, my friends, what hospital this is that I'm talking about, I may as well put it all out there. So, there we go. I told you this was going to be juicy, and must I say, challenging. It's not easy for me to talk about this, but I feel it's necessary. So, you know, it was Carolina's Medical Center, and I have a very big issue with what I experienced. I went there for care for several weeks, months of healing. My insurance, must I say, paid a lot of money for me to receive the great care that I did from the doctors and, you know, at the time. However, after my care, it was a different story. And I want to share that with you when we come back from commercial break, so you make sure you stay tuned. Welcome to the Queen Amani TV show, all the way in the castle in the beautiful Charlotte, North Carolina. I hope that you are enjoying the Queen Amani TV show. Make sure you tune in every Wednesday from 8 to 9 on Access 21, Time Warner Cable. Thank you for tuning in, and have a great, blessed week. Welcome back to the Queen Amani TV show. You know, today is a really, really good show. I'm opening up about a lot that is heavy on my heart here with you, my friends, in the beautiful Queen City today. So I thank you for staying tuned, and I cannot wait to share the rest of my experience. So before we went to break, I was just telling you that I wanted it to be clear what hospital I am talking about, and it is Carolina's Medical Center. So I want to say that, you know, before my very negative experience with this hospital, I had the utmost respect for Carolina's Medical Center for a couple different reasons. One, my family I come from a family that is in healthcare. Also, teachers. I have a lot of teachers in my family, and law enforcement officers. So I'm very proud of them and the work that they do, and I support them. And that's why I support all good nurses, all good doctors, all good, great health organizations, all good teachers, all great schools, all great security officers. Okay? I stand by them, and that's the kind of person I've always been, and that's how I will remain. So I've always had the utmost respect for Carolina's Medical Center. I've had a lot of family members and friends who have been employed by this hospital. I personally have had a aunt who provided care for Mrs. Levine. She was her care provider. If you do not know Mrs. Levine established the Levine Children's Institute at Carolina's Medical Center for, I believe, children with cancer. And she did a lot of great work for Carolina's Medical Center. And, you know, like I said, my aunt, my mom's sister, was her care provider, and she was with her family for years, caring for Mrs. Levine. I know that Mrs. Levine was a great person, and she valued a hospital taking great care of its people and its patients and caring for them and listening to them. So that's another reason why I respected Carolina's Medical Center. You know, also, it's a very large hospital in the city that we live in. If you live in Charlotte, you can't miss Carolina's Medical Center, because not only is the hospital large uptown or downtown or close to town, however you want to say it, there are a lot of different little small hubs or little doctor's offices or branches of Carolina's Medical Center. So you see it everywhere, is what I'm saying. You just can't miss it. And that's another reason why I really feel terrible that I have had this experience with them. And I have to share this because, you know, I really don't like sharing negative news. You all know I am a cheerleader. I'm a positive person. I mean, I love being able to focus on the positive. That's what the Queen TV show is all about. However, sometimes in life we have to deal with conflict, even when we don't want to. And that's why I feel like this show is necessary, because I have been going through some conflict with Carolina's Medical Center, and I have to share it. I must. So I requested my medical records from CMC, and as my medical records were mailed to my home, I began to notice that my medical records were opened. They were not sealed. If you go to look on the Queen TV Show Instagram page and our Queen TV Show Facebook page, you will be able to see some of the documents that I have provided and uploaded for you to see with your very own eyes and draw your own conclusions as to what you think has happened, or what you think or how you feel. However, if you look at the mail, you'll see that a couple things. On the front side of the mail, it's a red stamp on it. That stamp came from my local post office. When my mail was mailed to my home, and we immediately realized that my medical documents were not sealed, we immediately went up to the local post office to show them. They examined the record for themselves, and then after examining the envelope and noticing that it was never sealed, and when I say never sealed, if you look on the back of an envelope where you see the little sticky part that sometimes you can, you lick it and it seals the envelope shut, well, that hadn't happened. It was never licked or taped or there was nothing on it. You can clearly look at it and see that it had never been sealed. So they examined the envelope, and after examining it, they stamped it with that red stamp, and they marked it unsealed. And it says received unsealed. And like I said, it's all on our Queen TV show social media pages, and you can view them for yourself. Also, my local post office composed a letter stating they looked over my medical records, my mail, the envelopes, and that they were being mailed to my home unsealed. That's very disturbing. This was the first time in my life that I have ever even dealt with my mail being opened at all, at any capacity. This was a first. I never dealt with this before, ever. With any organization or any company or anywhere, ever. So this was all really strange to me. Granted, this was after, I went to this particular hospital to receive healing after losing my best friend. And that's another thing, it's not like my medical records are this, I don't really even get what the purpose of taking my medical records was. I mean, number one, I was a healthy person until I dealt with this situation, which amazes me still to this day that, you could be a normal, healthy person and you can have a traumatizing experience that just shakes your world up completely. I never thought that I would even feel the way that I felt after even losing someone. It was just a total new experience for me. So, it's what it is. So my records were mailed to my home, opened. Not only were they opened, many of my documents were missing. Many of my medical records were missing from Carolina's Medical Center. These records had my social security number on there. They had my full name, address. They had my medical diagnosis. They had all kinds of personal, private information that you would never, ever in a million years want to be exposed or in the hands of the wrong person or just open at all. Not to mention, it gets even juicier. That's why I said this is juicy. It's really juicy, okay? This didn't just happen to me once, on just one day. This happened to me not twice, not 3 times, not 4 times, 5+ times my records were mailed to my home from Carolina's Medical Center after I requested them for insurance purposes, opened. So of course, this was shocking. Of course, this had me fearful. Of course, this had me scared like you could not believe. I felt like someone intentionally was trying to cause me harm for some strange, odd reason. I don't know why. But it was obvious to me that this was no incident, no accident, and that it was intentional. Because you cannot sit here and get me to even begin to think that it was an accident, that my medical records would be mailed to my home on 5 different days, 5 different times, all open, and some of my records were missing out of the envelopes. Okay, there's more. So, of course, I told you I was really panicking, having severe panic attacks over this, scared to just go out and do life because I felt like I was being targeted for no reason. I didn't know why this was happening, and it was scary. And then to go to my local post office and for them to see it and them to state, oh yeah, this is being mailed to you and it's open. It's open, all right. So I called Carolina's Medical Center and asked, who do I speak to? I need to speak to someone immediately. This is scary. This is happening to me. They stated that they had an emergency phone number to call, or a complaint line. There we go. Where you call and there's like an operator that takes your complaint, and I guess they, key it into some kind of system, and then someone calls you back. So I began to go through that process. Every time my mail was sent to my home on a different day, I called them. Every single time. Their response, you can see for yourself, is on my Queen TV show Facebook page and my Queen TV show Instagram page. Their response was, this is an accident. I think they even said, this is an isolated incident. We apologize. Sorry this is happening to you. But we don't want to meet with you face to face. I need you to stay tuned because I have to tell you how that made me feel when we come back from commercial break. Welcome to the Queen Amani TV show, all the way in the castle in the beautiful Charlotte, North Carolina. I hope that you are enjoying the Queen Amani TV show. Make sure you tune in every Wednesday from 8 to 9 on Access 21, Time Warner Cable. Thank you for tuning in and have a great, blessed week. Welcome back to the Queen Amani TV show. Thank you for staying tuned, and I just want to start off by saying that it's not easy for me to sit here and open up and talk about this challenging situation. However, I said I feel that it's necessary. And I also want to make sure that you know that everything I am stating and I am saying, I have already put the factual evidence that I have online so you can view it for yourself. I cannot speak for anyone else concerning anything that involves this. I can only speak for myself and how I feel and what I went through. Before commercial break, I just wanted to share with you how it made me feel. After having my mail open, which I felt very violated, that not only was my mail not sealed from Carolina's Medical Center, many of my documents were missing that pertain a lot of information. I called Carolina's Medical Center to speak with someone, and I felt horrible that after all the evidence I had with the envelopes, the correspondence from the post office, that they would not meet with me. I requested specifically for someone at Carolina's Medical Center. I didn't care who. I did not specifically request for one person or another. I just wanted someone of authority that could make decisions, that was in a department to handle this type of situation, to meet with me and my family, to look at what was coming to my home for themselves. I still have in my possession the envelopes that were mailed to my home. I wanted to put this material in their hands so they could look at it, touch it, see it, trace it, track it down, try to track down my medical records, just try to really find out what really was happening. I was shocked, not just shocked, but scared, fearful. Almost every probably negative emotion you could even think I felt. All at like one time, to know that after this had happened, they would not meet with me. Like, do you not feel that strange? I still to this day, and this happened some time ago. This is just my first time really going this deep into it, just putting it all out there. The reasoning for, I think, me really even going here, I thought about this, and I shared in the last Queen TV show that I had to go back to Carolina's Medical Center because, well, for several different reasons and times. Recently, our son, he plays a lot of sports. He had a muscle not even a muscle tear. One of his muscles were sore. So we had to go get it checked because we wanted to make sure he was okay and there was nothing more going on. So we had to go to Carolina's Medical Center. You know, you really don't have too many different options. You either, if you're going for care here in the city of Charlotte, you're either going to go to Novant Presbyterian or CMC Carolina's Medical Center. That's pretty much your options. So this particular doctor, which was one of the best doctors for children, was at CMC. So I had to go back there. And of course, being in that environment, just being at CMC, makes me think about what I experienced. I mean, I think that's a normal reaction. I think for myself or for anyone, if you've went through something somewhere and you have to go back there, it just starts to make you think about what you went through. So I began to think about it, you know, and thought, okay, what if when my son's medical records are sent to my home, what if they're open? You know, I just began to just think about just different things, just negative thought, really, negative thought. And negative thought isn't good. Look, I'm all about positivity. I speak positivity, you know, but I'm real honest with you all. I mean, I'm human. I'm not a robot. Sometimes I feel like a robot because sometimes you got to turn the emotions off, you know, and you just got to go on. And that's what I'm like learning. You just can't be emotional in your emotions all the time. So I try to remain as positive as I can be, even in negative situations, you know, but look, sometimes I am bothered. And when I was back in this environment, it made me begin to rethink about what I had experienced and still wonder, you know, okay, where are my medical records? because I still don't know to this day where my medical records are. Must I add? I don't know. I don't know where they are. I don't know if, I just don't know where they are. I don't know who has them. I don't know why they were missing. I don't know why the hospital would not meet with me personally, face to face. Even after they viewed all the information that you can see for yourself, I just don't get it. And like I said, I just feel it's so necessary for me to share this experience. Must I add, okay, so I said I went back to CMC with my son. Had to go, I think it was CMC, I want to make sure it was CMC over Presbyterian, with my grandfather when he had a heart attack. I was the grandchild that went there with him, sat in the hospital that day with my grandmother, for his care. When my grandmother was diagnosed with stage 4 breast cancer, I've talked about that in many Queen TV shows, and so that took me back to CMC. So there are times where I've had to go back to CMC, not just for myself, but for other people. Granted, while I was still going through my own healing, by the way, which is, I think, the positive in this. So let me channel some of this, negativity into a positive, because I don't want this whole show to be like, and just down and out, because I try to look at the positive in everything. So during the time of my healing, even though it was a dark time for me, I still some way mustered a little bit of strength in me. And Lord knows that strength only had to come from God, because when I look back on it, I even asked myself, how in the world was I able to be there for someone else when I was going through all this myself? But God gives us that amazing strength, right? He gives us strength. He gives us strength. So during this time when I was going through my own dark hour, I was still there for my grandmother, and which I'm still thankful. She's a survivor. She's still here, and I'm thankful for that. And I'm grateful to God that she's still here. My grandfather, had a massive heart attack, and he's still here, and I'm thankful for that. And I, had to be there for him, even when I was going through all this. So I just thank the Lord. One day I was watching Pastor Joel Osteen, which I absolutely love. I talk of him often. But I was watching him, and he was delivering a message one Sunday, and he was talking about how his mom had went through a time and some struggles of her own. But during her hour of going through her own inner struggles and the things she was dealing with, she was there for all these people still in the church. And he was just sharing that. And he was just, saying how he felt that was just so amazing, how his mom could be going through so much herself, but still find the strength from God to be there for everyone else. I know what that feels like, and I thank God for giving me that strength to be able to be there for my loved ones and my friends, even in my dark hour, and so I just thank God for it. I thank him for healing. I'm not, where I want to be. I'm still a work in progress. I think we should all remain a work in progress, because to be better, to get better, you have to continually be working on yourself. And that's something that I try to do all the time. But I thank God I'm not where I used to be. I know where he's brought me from. I know that it was only by God's strength that I am who I am, and I am where I am in life. I thank God for it. Through that dark hour of losing my girlfriend, going through this with Carolina's Medical Center, going through things with an insurance company, I just thank God for just being there for me, for being that rock, for being my strength, my guidance, my wisdom, my peace. I'm just thankful. That's why a couple TV shows ago, I brought out my Bible. As a matter of fact, it's here. I don't know if you see it here on set, but it's right beside me. And I've learned how to just get more into God's Word. I remember when that show came out, the movie here in Charlotte, North Carolina, War Room. I believe that was the name of it, War Room. And I remember my sister, got the women at the women's ministry to go out for a movie night, which was nice because for me, I don't get many of those. I think at that time when I went to movie night, I hadn't been to the movies in forever. So it was great. But we went out to see War Room as a women's ministry, for the women's ministry at our church at the time. And I just remember watching it, and there were so many connections that I made from, of course, the lady in the show. So many. The woman, and I don't remember their names, but the older woman who helped her to teach her how to pray reminded me of my grandmother, my Naomi, who I've spoke about on the Queen TV show. I think somebody's name in the show was Elizabeth. My grandmother, my great-great-grandmother name was Queen Elizabeth. Her name actually was Queen Elizabeth. She didn't like being called Queen from what I understood. She just liked people to call her Elizabeth, but that was her name. And, there was just, like I said, a lot of connections that I drew from that. Another thing I want to say about this show here is that, this is not about black or white or anything like that for me. This is not about power or control or attention even. It took me a lot of strength to muster up to even be able to sit here, to even talk about this. It's not easy for me to open up about these things, but it's necessary and I want to do it. I'm real, and I can't share anyone else's story. I can only share what I've been through. So this is what I've experienced. There are a few other things that I want to mention that I've experienced. And I'm going to share those things when we come back from break. Make sure you stay tuned. Welcome to the Queen Amani TV show, all the way in the castle in the beautiful Charlotte, North Carolina. I hope that you are enjoying the Queen Amani TV show. Make sure you tune in every Wednesday from 8 to 9 on Access 21, Time Warner Cable. Thank you for tuning in and have a great, blessed week. Welcome back to the Queen TV show. Thank you for staying tuned, and you know that this is not the easiest show for me today, but it's a show that I really wanted to just share how I feel about this, share some of the things I've had to go through. Even to this day, I don't have all the answers as to why this happened. It's definitely been an awful situation. But I just want to make sure that you really get the full scope of, what I experienced. So, my mail came, it was unsealed, and it came to my home, in my mailbox, at my residence, in an awesome community. In Charlotte. I love where I live. I love my community. Some of the best people, best homes, best schools. I love this area. I love my home, and I value where I live. It's unfortunate that this happened to me at my home, but it did, and I don't have any control over that. I wish that I did, but I don't. I also have no control over, the hospital meeting with me. That's the number one thing, of course, that I stated. I wanted them to meet with me, but they never, not to this very day, one person, not one representative from Carolina's Medical Center would meet with me and my family and sit down and look at the evidence that we had that came to our home that was opened. Also, must I say, in my community, it's a large community, but it's small. Our wonderful son went to school right here in the community. A lot of my friends live here. We know a lot of people, and I will say that since my mail had been open and some of my medical reports were missing, I have felt as though, I don't know, I just feel as though, and this is a personal feeling, that maybe my medical records got into the wrong hands. Maybe they are out, just, I don't know where they are, so I can't say that, but I know I don't have them all, and I've always wondered where they are. I remember one day going to my son's school, which I'm a very involved parent, and I was on the PTA board of the school that one of the PTA parents, my husband and I at his school that he used to go to right here in the neighborhood. And during the time he was playing piano after school. And I remember one day walking into his school to drop off his piano. And this is when there was a new principal that had just taken over. And I just recall walking in to drop off my son's piano. And anytime that a new staff takes over any type of organization, they come with their own rules and different things. So he had changed some rules at the school, some which I was unaware of. So I was walking in and I was dropping off my son's piano. I had checked into the front office, and after that I proceeded to walk down to hand deliver his piano to his room in the school. And I remember the principal running up behind me, like literally in my face, "What are you doing?" And I'm like, oh my gosh, I was like nervous, freaking out, like I'm just dropping my son's piano off. And that was my first encounter, granted, with this principal, because he was a new principal. And and he says, "Well, I changed the rules. There are new rules. You can't just walk down to your child's class." And I'm like, okay. So he says, "Well, you need to turn around and go back to the office." So I did that. We went back, and so when I get up to the office, he takes out his rule book and, "Here you go. Here are the new rules." I was so flabbergasted, let's just say. I was just like, oh my goodness. Granted, there were other teachers around and students, and he was so loud, I was just really embarrassed. So I wanted to meet with him. Because let me tell you, you got to stand up for yourself nowadays, or people will just run over you like a Mack truck. Like, it's sad, but we live in that day and age where people will do anything to you, and it's just really sad. I grew up in a time where people gave people more respect. At least I felt like that. That you respected your elders, you respected your teachers, you respected your parents, you didn't talk back. I mean, you respected people's children. If you didn't like someone, you didn't talk about their mama, you didn't talk about their kids. I mean, this day in which we live in is just insane. I was just seeing something, and I'm going to talk fast because I want to make sure you get all this information. I was watching something on, television not too long ago where they were talking about, Donald Trump's kid, and the kid might be autistic or something, and people were making, these comments. And of course, Melania, who I love, I think she's fabulous, got upset and defended her child, which kudos to Melania, because that's what you have to do. You have to defend your children these days. And she, wanted them to take that crap off the web, and I don't blame her. And they did, and I'm so glad they did, because it's a low blow when you want to mess with someone's children, when you want to mess with someone's parents, when you want to, not respect people. I have a issue with that. So anyway, back to my son's school. I stood up for myself. I wanted to meet with him, and he finally met with me. And during that meeting, I took one of my wonderful uncles who was Teacher of the Year in Charlotte, North Carolina at West Charlotte Mecklenburg High School a couple years ago. They recognized him for being Teacher of the Year in the whole state. He went in the meeting with me because I wanted to make sure that I had an unbiased opinion on the way that I felt like the principal at the time handled me in the hallway at my son's school, because I felt just disrespected. Not only did I feel disrespected, he made up a lie and said that he thought that I was checking my son out of school. And one thing I don't like is people lying on people. I do not like that. So that's why we called a meeting. Granted, my uncle, who was Teacher of the Year, was there, and the principal did apologize to me. I accepted his apology, and I forgive him. But I didn't forget what he did to me. And this was in my neighborhood, same neighborhood in where my medical records went missing from Carolina's Medical Center. Now, call me what you want, but for some strange reason, I felt like, why would he make something up like that? Why would he lie on me? Did he think I was not going to stand up for myself? Or did he perhaps get some kind of information on me that could be floating around, who knows, into the hands of the wrong people? Maybe medical records that's twisted and turned, and who knows what's in there, since my medical records were stolen out of my mailbox in this same community in which this school is in, where I had this incident. All I'm saying is, since I've had this incident at Carolina's Medical Center, I have been bullied and harassed. I have went through things that makes no sense whatsoever to me. And I will continue to share my story. I will continue to talk about this. I will continue to wonder whatever happened to my medical records. Also, it's a scary time in which we live in, where people steal people's records, make up false things on them, steal people's identities, take their information, and do all kinds of hurtful things to them. Sharing my story is at least bringing awareness to the fact that this happened to me. So hopefully, if my information is out there and there's some kind of maybe some odd, strange story being fabricated about me, hopefully you see this Queen TV show and know, don't believe everything you hear, see, if you don't get the facts for yourself. Because my records were stolen. I don't know why, I don't know where, and it's always bothered me since then. And again, I can't control a large organization, an institution like Carolina's Medical Center. I can only control myself and my actions and what I choose to do. I thank God for giving me peace in the midst of this storm. I thank Him for, giving me the strength to endure through this very tough, difficult situation that I've had to go through. Because Lord knows, if I didn't have God, I may have not survived this ordeal, because it was tough. There are many days where I just prayed and cried my eyes out and had to go to God to ask Him, why do I have to go through this? Why is this happening to me? I only wanted to go and get healing and help after losing my girlfriend, which is devastating enough. If you've ever lost a loved one in any kind of way, you already know that's difficult. And after going to get help, I now have to be violated by my medical records being stolen, and live with the fact that they're floating around wherever they may be. And the fact that not one person, not one, you have thousands of employees. You couldn't choose one person to sit and meet with me to look at my information. That is strange to me. I think that will forever be weird, awkward, awful. I'm sorry that I have to go there and say so many negative, descriptive words. I would rather be very positive and glee right now. But, hey, I don't know many positive words to describe this situation. So, again, I don't want to take this into my new year. If someone is willing to meet with me, though, from CMC at this point, even though this happened some time ago, I don't remember the date right off, I would be more than happy to meet with you. I would love to try to get to the root of what actually happened to my medical records. I do think you guys owe me some kind of explanation, but hey, again, I can't make you give me one. I do know that my insurance paid a lot of money for me to get treatment and get the therapy and healing that I did there at your hospital. I would think that, it would be important enough to you for you to meet with me? I don't know. But I do know that I feel as all things have a purpose. I know that I have a purpose-driven life, and I know that I didn't have to go through this just because. Maybe I had to go through this struggle to be able to share with other people that things like this happen. One good positive thing I can share with you, a word of advice, is that if you or a loved one is going to a doctor's office, a hospital, heck, even a dentist's office, I think it's good to take a loved one with you that love you, that can advocate for you, and that have your back, just in case you find yourself in a strange and peculiar situation. You have someone that can be a witness to what you've had to experience. Secondly, I think that Carolina's Medical Center need to do a better job of protecting patients' privacy. I've always felt like that's what HIPAA laws and other laws that are there in place to protect you are for. I always thought they were for things such as this situation that I found myself dealing with. However, I've come to find out in the worst way that it's not as much protection as I thought it was. Thirdly, I will say that it's sad that we live in a country that you can go to a place for care, spend a lot of money, but when you have one complaint, one valid concern of something that is actually happening to you, they will show you how much they just don't care. Thank you for tuning in today to the Queen Amani TV show, and we love you here at the Queen TV show, and I hope that you have a great blessed week and that you will never have to experience anything like this in which I've had to experience at, unfortunately, Carolina's Medical Center. We love you. Have a great blessed week. Woohoo!